Okay. You know what? Let me trade you. Mr. Jones, can you come on this side and let me trade you? Sorry, I'm a teacher. The teacher in me cannot stop being a teacher. All right. Okay. Brian, are we ready? Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your patience and thank you for being here with us today. I'm State Senator Susan Rubio. I represent the San Gabriel Valley and parts in San Bernardino County. I'm really honored to be here with my colleagues fighting for a really, really good cause. I'm proud to stand with Senator Angelique Ashby and Senate Minority Leader Brian Jones. We represent very different parts of California, and we have very different views, but the one thing that we can all come together on is keeping our streets safe, our schools, our places of worship, and making sure that Californians can live in safe neighborhoods. So I'm really thankful for us coming together and making sure that public safety is not a political issue, it's a human issue, and it's a community issue. Every family deserves to feel safe. As I mentioned, every school, every neighborhood, and every place of worship should be a place where people go, not to worry, but to find community. People need to see that the Senate can work together when it matters, and that is why we're here today. There's 3 bills that we want to highlight. First, SB 19 by myself, Senator Rubio, SB 6 by Senator Brian Jones, SB 380 by Senator Angelique Ashby. These deal with very different public safety issues in the state of California, but they all have the one goal in common, and that is preventing harm before it happens. These bills come directly from people that we're hearing about, the concerns from our community and concerns from across our state. And we're standing here because working together is how we make change happen, especially in a place where sometimes bipartisanship is difficult. So today I want to highlight my bill, which is SB 19, and that is something that I'm very proud to introduce. It deals with threats against schools and places of worship. Before I was elected, I was a classroom teacher for nearly 20 years, and I know how difficult it is for our students every time we have to go through a drill, every time we have to lock down and we have no idea what is going on. We've already seen that there are shootings that happen across our nation and even in our state, especially in elementary schools. I always am reminded of the image of a little boy in Uvalde, Texas, where he had to survive when a shooter entered their school, and he survived by actually taking blood from his little neighbor that was already deceased to put it all over himself to play dead. That is what we're asking of our kids these days. And so why wait until the harm is upon them? Why not figure out how to stop these tragedies from happening before it goes further? This deals with very simple issue, and that is that we continue to have threats in our schools that are not just harmful to a community, and it sends a community in a state of panic, but it's also wasting precious resources for our students, for our communities. Every time that someone has to go out to a school, it is costing school districts from staff time and just locking down a school an average of $40,000. Those $40,000, I can tell you as a teacher, are better spent on resources to educate our students. So again, this is about keeping our schools safe from threats. And sometimes when there's threats happening and there are no consequences, they will continue to happen. So the problem that we're having today, and why SB 19 is critically important, is that threats made to a school or any institution where someone is not named, it is very difficult to prosecute. We have an example in San Diego in Senator Jones' district where a man sent hundreds of threatening emails about a shooting in an elementary school. And the threats were not specific to a person. We know that it had the school, We know it had a date. We know that it was geared towards that one school, but because we didn't have a specific name, we couldn't prosecute. Fast forward, later he was caught, and it turns out that he did have weapons, and it turned out that he did have a map. He was ready to cause some real harm. But because he wasn't prosecuted before, he was left to linger, and that could have been very tragic. If we had this bill in place, that individual would have been prosecuted the first time around, and we would not have to wait until he had the opportunity to create some real harm. And so today, once again, we want to make sure that we catch these individuals before they create that harm. This bill will do, once again, is just simply saying, if you make a threat to a school, you don't have to name a person. You will be held accountable. And as a teacher, as a community member, I just want to share with all parents out there, please talk to your child, your children, even neighbors or friends. Let them know that threats are very serious. We're so used to these hoax happening over and over again, and that's what it is, a hoax. Students laugh and we move on. They will no longer be tolerated. It is too serious of an issue not to do something about it. So SB 19 will ensure that we tackle these individuals that are causing us not only harm in terms of panic, but also causing resources to communities. For police, law enforcement, the cost is upward of $100,000 per incident. Once again, our cities can use that funding for after-school programs or something a lot more useful for our seniors. That is money wasted that we do not have. So once again, this is an issue that we want to tackle. In 2023, more than 1,100 threats were reported against schools and universities. Last year alone, places of worship across our country faced over 400 threats or attacks. Many of those were anonymous. And I hope that those listening hear us. That will not be tolerated. You will be prosecuted. So again, parents, speak to your children. They will not get a pass. This is something we will take very seriously. So I will now turn it over to my friend, Senate Minority Leader Brian Jones, to speak about his bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Rubio. It is an honor to stand here today with Senator Rubio and Senator Ashby working on a package of bills in public safety that will be bipartisan. The goal here is obviously to keep California safe, and keep Californians safe transcends politics and transcends partisanship. I want to thank Senator Rubio for her important work to protect schools and places of worship with SB 19, and thank you to Senator Ashby for tackling the growing and very dangerous use of xylazine. My bill, SB 380, in addition to supporting SB 19 and 6, I'm here to talk about SB 380. The dangerous release of sexually violent predators has been jolting to our communities, often quietly released right next to families in rural areas, and more recently, even urban areas across the state. It begs the question, do you want them living in your neighborhood? I argue that these sexually violent predators should never be released, but if a court orders their release, it must be done safely. Given their high likelihood to reoffend, sexually violent predators should be kept on state property where they can be monitored at all times. After an audit highlighted the state's failures to prioritize public safety when releasing these predators, we took action with SB 380. This important bipartisan bill will pave the way to create a transitional housing program on state properties for sexually violent predators. Multiple other states have programs to release these predators onto state-owned, state-operated, or contracted transitional housing. SB 380 implements a recommendation from the state auditor to help bring this proven idea to California. Overall, the goal of this bill is to get these predators out of our residential neighborhoods where they threaten public safety. We hope that the Assembly Public Safety Committee will understand the need to fix this broken release program and pass this bill. Next, it's my honor to introduce Senator Ashby from the Sacramento area as she comes up to talk about her bill, SB 6.
Well, thank you all for coming out this morning. It's a beautiful Sacramento morning. I love that Delta breeze. I'll take it. Hopefully it makes a return visit this afternoon when it gets a little warmer. Thank you to Senator Susan Rubio, who is a champion for public safety and has been for many years, particularly in the space of protecting children, families, and victims of domestic violence. The people of the great state of California are better for her service here in the California State Senate. And to my colleague and friend, Senator Brian Jones from the San Diego region, he's an extraordinary leader for the minority party. I have the opportunity to work with him regularly and find him to be an incredibly conscientious and gracious leader in the state Senate. Honored to stand here with both of them. SB 6 is making a repeat performance. It is making its second go-round, and we'll hope that it fares better this time in Assembly Public Safety than it did in its last go-round. I don't have to tell you that homelessness is an incredibly difficult problem in our communities. And one of the issues that is linked often with homelessness is addiction. And we can see it. We can see it on our streets in every corner of the state of California, in our parks, in our communities, in our urban cores. When you see individuals struggling in their addiction, and sometimes there are very obvious physical signs, like, for example, an individual who can't stand up straight or has gaping wounds across their body. Both of those are marks of xylazine. Xylazine is often referred to as tranq, and sometimes called the zombie drug, because it renders its user unable to stand upright. It is also impervious to Narcan. And xylazine, coupled with other drugs across our state, are quickly becoming a very, very big challenge. I am bringing forward SB 6 to address xylazine because it is currently not an illegal substance. It's currently used for veterinary care and not identified on any federal or state schedule as an illegal narcotic, even though we know it is costing us the lives of many Californians. So today, the three of us will spend some time in Assembly Public Safety making the case for these three incredibly important bills for the state of California. I thank you all for being here to learn a little bit more about our bills and about our efforts to keep Californians safe. I'll hand the mic back over to Senator Susan Rubio.
So once again, we want to say thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really honored once again that we can have both parties standing here shoulder to shoulder, making sure that the message is very clear. We care about Californians. We care about their public safety. We care about our communities. And this is a great example of how we come together to say, we will protect you. You matter, and we will keep working really hard to ensure that our communities are safer for our children, for those out on the street, and for everyone here in the state of California. As already mentioned, we will be in committee together moving these bills forward, and we hope to have good news reported after we present our bills. Thank you. Any questions? We have a few minutes before committee.
There are no changes to the bill. There have been changes to the makeup of the committee structure that have me hopeful that it will have a different fate this go round.
Anybody else?
That's a good answer, by the way. All right.
Okay, thank you very much. And again, we hope to have good news to report out. Have a wonderful day today.